We all have heard and know of global warming as it is an extremely hot topic in today's world. From hearing about all the trees being cut down, like in the Lorax, which increases the greenhouse effect, to these heart wrenching images of polar bears starving due to the effects of climate change. While in the United States our air is still relatively clean, the countries who do not have as much money and resources bear the brunt of air pollution. This air pollution poses a hazard to their health and furthermore increases the greenhouse effect. This effect in temperature worldwide due to global warming has caused not only these problems, but also coral bleaching and destruction of our coral reefs. Despite so much overwhelming evidence of global warming, some politicians still reject this belief and choose to do nothing to help stop global warming and the demise of the environment. Today we are going to explore the role honor and ethics play in the public policy surrounding global warming. Global warming is not a question of politics, but it is a question of ethics and honor for future generations. Often, first world, richer developed countries do not have to deal with the issue of climate change as directly as poorer countries whose air is more polluted and must exhaust their natural resources more quickly in order to sell them to larger countries. Here's a look more into the problems that these developing countries face.
Have more than 150 million people in less than 150,000 square kilometers. Very poor country at the same time, subject to cyclones and floods, which get exacerbated with climate change. So in any kind of index of vulnerability you make, Bangladesh will come in the top three, whatever criteria you want to choose.
Leading climate change experts.
But whose ethical responsibility is this? The government, countries, states, the ordinary people? For example, carbon tax is recognized by economists as the most efficient means for pricing and reducing carbon emissions. But this tax will not only hurt businesses, but ultimately the consumers as well. Should the tax be split equally by all, or be paid by the wealthy and the corporations who benefit most from dumping carbon into the atmosphere? Similarly, islands and coastal areas close to sea level face the prospect of storm damage from rising seas and the increasing strength of hurricanes and typhoons. This is not the community's fault themselves, but instead the whole world. Who will pay for this cost of much needed infrastructure to help strengthen these communities, such as seawalls, raised roads, and pumping stations? What about those properties that will be covered in water due to rising sea levels? Whose ethical responsibility are all of these problems? In addition to our duty to other humans, we must also view this ethical issue of climate change in regards to our duty to other animals and broader community of life. Global warming is undoubtedly the result of humans' misuse and overuse of resources and burning of fossil fuels, and wildlife is an innocent suffering bystander to these misjustices. Hundreds of species are going extinct at an alarming rate. It is our ethical duty to protect these animals and honor the environment which has done so much for us. But who is fighting for change in politics at a time when most politicians are acting like global warming doesn't exist? Here is Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who has spoken out nearly every week for the past 4 years about climate change.
Most outspoken critic, Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse.
I am back to again urge my colleagues to wake up to the stark reality of climate change.
Nearly every week for the last 4 years, Whitehouse has taken to the Senate floor.
I am here today for now the 50th time, 64th, 73rd. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm never going to walk away from this issue. Today is my 103rd, 107th, 145th time. Hi.
What people don't realize is that environmental issues stretch to almost every ethical problem we face in today's society. You cannot combat poverty, disease, or suffering without a stable climate and a healthy environment for which people to live in, and you cannot improve a struggling economy either. You must have a healthy environment to have a healthy economy. The environment gives us the resources we need in order to produce goods, which is at the heart of our economy. Without a healthy environment, we will have an economic catastrophe. This matter, global warming, is a matter of honor and ethics because we must demand that our leaders take care of this problem instead of ignoring it, or it will result in not only environmental catastrophe but economic catastrophe. Overall, global warming is not only a political problem but an ethical problem. It is our ethical duty to honor the planet that has done so much for us, not only for the sake of humanity but for the sake of the other living creatures on our planet. We must strive to stop this cycle of climate change and work hard to overcome these issues for the sake of ourselves and others. We must hold our politicians accountable for their actions. While climate change is negatively impacting the world at an increasingly alarming rate, we have not reached the point of no return. I want to leave you with hope and inspiration from Katherine Hayhoe's talk on climate change from the TED stage.
We can't give in to despair. We have to go out and actively look for the hope that we need that will inspire us to act. And that hope begins with the conversation today. Thank you.